Does OCD make you worry that you're going to be a bad person, that you are a bad person? You're not alone. We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist. I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about a really common OCD theme that gets missed a lot. And that is the intrusive thought that you might become a bad person. Maybe you are a bad person, or maybe you were a bad person. And what are you going to do about that? So I'm going to dive into what that is, how that shows up, and what to do about it. But before I get started, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when I make new videos, which is every Thursday. Okay, let's talk about this theme. Now remember, OCD comes in many different flavors, and it's very possible and likely that you're going to have many flavors of OCD throughout your life. The goal is that you learn the skills to tackle these as they show up, and the better you get at tackling them, the quicker you'll get at squashing them when they pop up. And so you want to know about these different types of themes. You don't want to just be like, this is my one OCD theme, this is my one OCD issue, because you're going to miss the other ones. And this one gets missed a lot. It's kind of under the umbrella of what we like to call moral OCD or scrupulosity OCD or even religious OCD. All those types of themes, which are just names for different flavors of OCD, can have this intrusive thought that says, what if you're a bad person? Now, that will also look different depending on your belief system, your family values, and what being bad looks like. And so the core fear is, I don't want to be a bad person, but what that looks like and what OCD glums onto will be different for each one of you. So it could be, I don't want to be a serial killer when I'm older. What if I'm a serial killer? It could be, I don't want to be a liar. What if I'm lying? What if I lie? What if I've lied? I don't want to rob or steal or do anything like that. I don't want to say bad words, or I don't want to drink or smoke or do drugs. And it can get even more complicated and abstract. I don't want to be a racist. I don't want to be homophobic. I don't want to be whatever I am perceiving as bad. And like I said, that can be very different depending on your values and your belief system. And then, right, you always have the intrusive thought or feeling. So the intrusive thought is, I don't want to be bad. What if I'm bad? I don't want to be a bad person. And then don't forget this part. This is what you do or avoid to get that brief relief. Now, because this is so abstract and not concrete, this behavior, this avoidance or this compulsion can get missed, because a lot of times it's not like I have an intrusive thought about germs and my compulsion is to wash. That seems really clear cut. But when we're talking about these other type of OCD themes, like I have an upsetting thought that I'm a bad person, first of all, you may not even realize that that can be an OCD thing. Some of us do have a feeling like, I don't want to be a bad person. I have these values and these things that I want to be. And so I'm going to strive to be a better person. That's not OCD. OCD is when it's like this, you're bombarded by these intrusive thoughts. Like, oh my gosh, you said that. What if that means you're going to be a killer? Oh my gosh, you said that. That was so mean. What if it means you're a horrible person? Oh my gosh, you did this when you were 5. What if that means you're a horrible person? And so it is different than that normal doubt or feeling of, I want to be a good person, right? So don't, a lot of people think it's, in that normal realm and it's actually OCD. And some people, it's a normal thought and they don't realize that it's not OCD. But when it's nonstop and it doesn't go away and it's really bothering you, and then you're doing this, and this part can look really different, that's when it's OCD. So a lot of people who have the intrusive thought that they may be a bad person or they don't want to be a bad person, they might just mentally argue in their head. And that's a mental compulsion. I have a whole video on mental compulsions. And that's when you debate in your head. OCD loves debating and it wants to hook you in. And so you might say, but I don't think I'll be a serial killer because I'm really nice and I've never wanted to harm someone. Or you might say, well, I don't think I'm a liar because, I try to be really truthful and I try to tell people, right? So you're just debating with OCD, which OCD loves, right? That is a compulsion. And that in and of itself can grow more intrusive thoughts that you might be a bad person. I said, oh yeah, well, what about this? What about this? OCD is the best debater in the world. You'll never win a debate with OCD because if you start a debate with OCD, you've already lost. The other thing that can be a compulsion can be reassurance checking. So you might feel like, I just have to tell people things. And so maybe I just have to confess and say, Mom, like when I was 5, I think I took gum out of your purse. And then your mom's like, honey, don't worry about it. That was when you were 5, like you're 15, don't worry about it. And then boom, it's like washing those fears away, right? Metaphorically. And that can be a compulsion. So confessing or telling people things to get that reassurance can be a compulsion. You might avoid things that remind you of being bad. You might avoid people that your OCD perceives as bad. You might avoid looking or saying or doing things that trigger the intrusive thought. And so that is another way. It can show up in a million different ways, but a lot of times they get missed. And so what do you do with that, right? Sometimes people say, how do I do exposures on that? And it's the same thing. It's the same framework. And so the first thing is you don't want to mentally argue. It is okay to sarcastically agree with OCD because OCD wants you to push back. OCD wants you to argue. And when you don't, OCD has nothing to push back on. So to sarcastically say, I may or may not be a serial killer when I'm older, or I may or may not be a racist, I don't know. You're not saying that you're racist or that you're going to be a killer, right? You're just not giving fuel to the fire of OCD. You are being sarcastic. You don't know, right? Because it's the doubting disease. And when you actually accept and welcome the uncertainty and the doubt and you don't push against it, then OCD loses all of its power. And that's a very powerful approach. And so not mentally arguing and debating with OCD, so pulling back that behavior, and then if you can add a sprinkle of sarcasm or a funny little comment, that can be helpful too. And then you could do exposures around intrusive thoughts. I like sticky notes because they're easy, but you can even do them digitally where you have reminders that pop up on your phone or your iPad, depending on what you have, that say things like, are you sure you're not racist? Or are you sure you didn't lie? Are you sure you didn't da-da-da? And what that does is it bombards you with those upsetting thoughts and it bores the brain. And so it takes the power away from OCD. When you're seeing it all the time, eventually you're kind of like, yeah, I'm a racist, right? Or yeah, I am going to be a killer. Or yeah, I'm a liar. Or I'm a horrible person, right? When you do exposures and you expose yourself to those thoughts on purpose, it starts to bore the brain and the power goes away. You can also do exposures where if there's things that you're avoiding, people you're avoiding, things you avoid saying or seeing or doing, that you do those things as long as they're, in the realm of normal, right? So if I try to avoid looking at anything that says a particular word, then maybe I'm going to purposely look at that thing and say, oh, I'm still who I am, right? OCD will be like, are you sure? Are you sure you're still the same person? And you don't want to be fooled and trapped into an argument or discussion with OCD and saying, yes, I am the same person. Because OCD will be like, oh, she wants to debate. Yay, because she's already lost, right? We don't want to engage in a debate. So my hope for you in this quick video is that you understand that one, it's a common theme. And so if you're worried about having intrusive thoughts that you're a bad person, know that that is a common OCD theme. And two, don't fall into the common pitfalls that OCD wants you to do, which is to debate why you're not that person or why you won't be that person. Do compulsions, like if you're afraid you're going to lie, a lot of times the compulsion is to not make a decision or to add maybe or I think to the end of your sentence so that you're not lying, right? So if you are doing what OCD would be proud of you for and OCD would be great and happy that you're doing it, then it's probably a compulsion, right? So pay attention to what you're doing or avoiding to get that brief relief and make sure it's not because OCD wants you to do it. All right. I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.